It's time for another quick take, ladies and gentlemen. Cincinnati Open in the books, and for the second straight week, we have a Masters 1000 champion outside of the Big Four. This time, it is none other than Grigor Dimitrov. He defeated Nick Kyrgios moments ago, 6-3, 7-5. This is going to be a shorter video because I'm not going to do a chronological breakdown, but I want to point out two things tactically that worked in Dimitrov's favor in this match and really pushed him over the edge. And then I want to talk about both of their prospects going forward in the U.S. Open, which will be next week. We got to wait, but the week following will be the U.S. Open, and I can't wait for that. So you look at both of Kyrgios' strokes, and interestingly enough, Dimitrov, the patterns between those two really favored Dimitrov, and I think his coaches put together a great game plan. Dimitrov executed it beautifully. The first thing we'll talk about is Kyrgios' backhand. Okay, so Kyrgios does not generate a lot of racket head speed on his backhand. He bunts at it a little bit, and he hits it very flat. The two things that work in Kyrgios' favor on the backhand wing is that, A, it's very consistent, and he doesn't try to do too much with it. When you have a stroke that maybe, you know, isn't a huge weapon, the most important thing is that you don't treat it like a huge weapon. And Kyrgios does a great job of knowing his limits on his backhand side. So what is a strength of his backhand is his ability to redirect the backhand. So when Kyrgios' backhand looks very good, it's when he's redirecting the ball down the line. He's got really good placement and really good consistency. He's able to change direction on the backhand side. So that's when you look at that backhand, and technically it's a little strange, but you'll be like, wow, that's actually a very, very effective backhand. Here's where it's not a very good backhand. He's not good at generating pace on the backhand wing, and that stems from what I just mentioned earlier. He does not have a lot of racket head speed. He doesn't have a lot of topspin either. So Dimitrov was giving him a lot of no-pace balls on the backhand side. A lot of backhand slice right back to Nick Kyrgios' backhand. Kyrgios hated that so much that he was slicing him back, and the slice backhand for Nick Kyrgios is not one of his best shots. Now, once again, he likes to hit that backhand down the line. Dimitrov's running forehand is superb. He was hitting that shot so well in this match. So when Kyrgios was redirecting that backhand down the line, which is his favorite way to use that backhand, Dimitrov says, "Thank you very much," and he hits his running forehand cross court. He hits that shot so well, which is a perfect segue into Kyrgios' forehand. Kyrgios' forehand is like the opposite of his backhand. He generates tremendous racket head speed on his forehand. As a result, he's able to not only generate a lot of power and a lot of offense, whether it's off of his back foot, whether his opponent gives him a lot of pace or does not give him a lot of pace to work with. Kyrgios, it doesn't really matter. Able to generate offense from anywhere on the court, you know, any height that the ball is, it doesn't matter. His forehand is extremely versatile as an offensive weapon. The thing is, he loves the forehand cross court. He gets great topspin revolution on it, and as a result, he does a great job of creating cross court angles with his big forehand. Once again, Grigor Dimitrov says, "Thank you very much," and can hit that running forehand cross court or down the line. It doesn't matter for Dimitrov. So I think that whether Kyrgios was hitting forehands or backhands, in both scenarios, that it benefited Dimitrov's running forehand, which he was really feeling this afternoon. It was his best shot, and he was just simply feeling great about that running forehand. And whether it was a backhand for Kyrgios or a forehand for Kyrgios, it was generally found itself going right to Grigor Dimitrov's strength, especially the backhand he was able to exploit for Kyrgios. Doesn't mean it's a bad backhand, but that's how tactics works. And not tactics, really more specifically, strategy. If you can get, you know, your opponent's strength to line up with your strength, you have a much better chance. It's when your opponent's strengths line up with your weaknesses, that's when you have a player in trouble. Okay, so U.S. Open coming up in 2 weeks. and both of these guys should be feeling very, very confident going in. I feel really good about both these guys. They should be very, very excited. So for Dimitrov, I think it's the serve. Other than that, and I guess I'll go through this. I'll remind everyone, not that you don't know, Djokovic is out of the U.S. Open. Wawrinka also out of the U.S. Open. Federer has a back injury right now. I think he's going to be fine, but who really knows? And Murray has that hip injury. Now, Murray's in New York, but even if he plays the U.S. Open, which since he's in New York, I expect him to at least play the tournament, we don't know how healthy he is either. So a depleted U.S. Open, and Nadal had a big opportunity here in both Cincinnati and Montreal to basically stamp himself in as a contender, and he was unimpressive in both Master 1000s tournaments. We are looking at a wide open U.S. Open, folks, and if you're a guy like Grigor Dimitrov, this is a major opportunity. He played so well here in Cincinnati, where he didn't drop a set, where this guy, you have to look at him as a contender in the U.S. Open. The serve is going to be the key. It's inconsistent. It's not as good as it needs to be. It's not as consistent as it needs to be. But if he can serve well in a baseline rally, I'll take Grigor Dimitrov, at least I'll take him to be competitive against anyone, as long as his serve doesn't let him down. Huge opportunity for Grigor. For Kyrgios, another guy who I love, I think that for the U.S. Open, I think that the U.S. Open, from a personality standpoint, suits Kyrgios the best. Everything about it. Besides for the fact that he doesn't like it when the fans make noise. And look, Arthur Ashe Stadium is just the noisiest stadium in professional tennis. But it's a constant buzz. Besides for that, I like the U.S. Open for Kyrgios. They give him a lot of night matches. They play music, at changeovers. There's a lot of things that can distract him from tennis. The crowds are good. The crowds are raucous. He gets good support there too. All things considered, something about the U.S. Open, I think it matches up well with Kyrgios' personality. Hopefully he doesn't get bored, if you know what I mean. So I like that for Kyrgios. And really, he's just playing great first strike tennis. The U.S. Open courts are pretty fast. I'd say they're faster than the courts at the Australian Open, although they were pretty fast in Australia this year. So Kyrgios can really use his big serve and his first strike tennis on his forehand. He's been very workmanlike this year, very professional in Montreal and Cincinnati. In Montreal, he lost to Alexander Zverev. No shame in that. Zverev went on to win the tournament, and here he made the final. So it looks like finally he's healthy. It's been such a tough year for Kyrgios because he was healthy through the clay court season, but the clay courts are not where Nick Kyrgios' game is best suited. Then, finally, grass court season rolls around, and the hip gives him a lot of trouble. He has to drop out of Queen's Club. He can't play Wimbledon. He dropped out of the City Open, but now it finally appears he's healthy. He'll take next week off to rest, and he's healthy going into the U.S. Open, looking very, very good. I mentioned how open this U.S. Open should be. So Dimitrov, Kyrgios, they played a good match today. Very aesthetically pleasing tennis, and both of them should be looking to make runs in the U.S. Open. Very excited for that. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.